No, it
Now,
won't.
if you repudiate,
I'm not going to repudiate. I'm done repudiating you. You have bad taste, and that's fine, and we'll save it for the podcast. All right, here we go. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Wake up, everybody. Today is Thursday, November 4th, and we are Never Free to Play, a podcast where we talk about all the video games we wish we were playing. I'm one of your hosts, Kart Palashi, joined by my co-hosts Sean Mybers, Jason Wright, and Dr. Brockeldirk. And if you decide you like us and you want us to be your little Italian plumbers, subscribe to us on YouTube and podcast services or find us on Twitter, where we are at Never Free to Play. If you have questions, comments, thoughts, ideas, feedback, please send it to us at neverfreetoplay@gmail.com. It's the third podcast in a row in a week. This is feeling good, like old times. We've got a fourth member. This is great.
Yeah.
This is great.
it brings great symmetry to the video, too. I like the fourth show.
I
Like
do,
Sean
too.
pointed that out. It's good.
Oh,
I
we
haven't
all
seen
have to look at each other like on the Brady Bunch.
Which
You missed the days, Robert, where I used to have sticky notes
That's true.
up on the wall that one said Karch and one said Jason, and I would look at the sticky note while they were talking.
Josh was advocating for me to switch it on you.
I'm going to look down
Oh,
at whoever,
that
because I'm always on
would've
top.
nuts.
Hey there, whoever's down there.
Hi, Karch.
Oh, hey.
How you guys doing? New member Robert, are you glad to be our fourth member now?
Yeah.
Good.
I dig it.
Because you don't have a
just assumed
choice.
I just assumed last episode when he was just a regular co-host on the intro, he had joined us.
He was,
Yeah,
but we
that
did
was-
bring attention to it, and I wanted to wanted to bring official attention to it.
Yeah,
Got it.
suck
Yeah.
new
Point
guy.
of no return. Got it.
Go
We've hired him
get
on
me a
full-time.
coffee.
He's now legally responsible when things go wrong.
He's our intern.
No, I already did.
That's true. You did.
Okay, I got a bone to pick with Karch a little bit. And I've done it via text, but I kind of just want to hash it out.
I thought this was a bit.
Or at least just, it's not a bit.
It's a bit.
Because you told me you love Wes Anderson, and you said that your favorite movies are Wes Anderson movies. And
didn't
you
say-
specifically said you like Budapest Hotel.
I said 2 out of 3 of those things.
You didn't say Budapest Hotel?
No, I said Budapest Hotel, and I do love Wes Anderson films. I did
Okay.
not say that they are my favorite. I would have said they are some of my favorite. I might have said Budapest Hotel specifically.
I think
my
you said
favorite.
Budapest Hotel top 5, but it doesn't matter.
Right.
The point is that you didn't know that a new Wes Anderson film was coming out called French Dispatch.
Right.
And I swear I'm not making this up, but you said you love Adrian Brody.
But I didn't.
guess that's not true.
I didn't.
Yeah, I guess that's not true.
And this is like
So-
when you thought there was a guy named Biff in the campaign.
Biff Diggins.
Biff Diggins. There was
Diggins.
never a Biff Diggins, and you could have sworn that too, and everybody refuted it. So I'm gonna go ahead.
This is not looking good for my track record.
It's not.
But
That's all I have.
what I'm hearing is we need to change the corrections music to the Jason is wrong music.
I think that is
That's
what the
fine.
music always was. But
Okay, that's all I got.
Sean, how you
I feel like. Oh, sorry. Never mind.
No, go ahead, Robert.
Oh, Jason. It feels like he was the one that invented the mandala effect. You know what that is?
yes.
I might be.
How you doing, Sean?
I am legitimately never free to play. Like, I know we joke often that like for PB never free to play, we're not, but good Lord, I have gotten maybe like 2 hours of video game in the last like week and a half, and I am not happy about it.
It's unacceptable. If you are
Especially
now
like-
on probation, NFTP probation, if you don't start playing
Am
more
I on
video
double
games.
secret probation?
You are a founder, and so I can't get rid of you.
Oh.
But you would
Fair
be.
enough.
You would be on infinite quantum probation.
Thank God I'm a founder.
Exactly. Well, Sean, maybe next week with your precious 14 whole days off
That is true.
when you leave me and Jason to go get killed
To
in a
Robert-
cabin in the woods.
To play Diablo.
To play Diablo,
I'm-
exactly.
I'm so cruel.
It's going to be a terrible time. We're going to do hardcore runs, Robert, next week and see how long we can. Hardcore Iron Man. You know what? Let's just do it. We're doing housekeeping.
Housekeeping, like, sub, follow. We have done 3 podcasts in a row. Thank you to all 4 lovely NFers that watched those episodes. I
like
think
9
Sean
years.
posted another episode of Final Fantasy VII, right?
I haven't watched
did.
it yet.
So
This
that's
one-
awesome.
This one does not have a creepy voice in it.
That's
Nice.
unfortunate.
I think that's the only thing we've posted since our last podcast.
Correct.
And next week we plan on releasing some Mass Effect content for N7 Day. So you look forward to the spoiler cast coming out on November 7th and 8th, episodes 1 and 2. It's a two-parter. It's going to be awesome. I cannot wait to listen because I haven't heard it. And then lastly, next Thursday around 9:30 Eastern, we'll be streaming Diablo 2 remake with Robert, definitely Karch, definitely Jason, definitely Greg, and we're going to do Iron Man runs. Karch, what is an Iron Man run?
An Iron Man run is a hardcore Diablo run where you are not allowed to go back to town except for the extreme case of needing to in order to like progress the quest or something that'll stop you from, progressing further in the game. But otherwise it's basically just go until you die. You can only use the items and potions and stuff that you find on the monsters that you kill. And obviously hardcore means that once your character dies, they are gone forever. They don't get put into any kind of like basket or bucket where you can play with them anymore at all. So yeah, and it's gonna be real fun because Diablo servers have been pretty shaky the last few weeks. So
we'll have to work out some logistics.
That's I think all of Blizzard's business model has been pretty shaky the last few weeks.
Well, that's true too.
Zing.
I would like to request that whoever dies first and then has to sit there and watch the others continue to play, you should clearly load up a Skyrim Anniversary Edition and go fishing.
Boo!
Or I'll just start back up as level 1. I'm assuming I'll be first to die. I'll just restart as level 1 and keep going.
No one's gonna die in the first hour.
Yeah, and then we'll probably just be done. So anyway,
Won't be till Act 2, especially if we all play Paladins. If we all play Paladins, we'll never die. It'll be awesome. Anyway, yeah, that's housekeeping. Now we're going to talk about what we've been playing, and we're going to start with Mr. Loves to Play Video Games himself, Jason Wright. He's breaking my heart. So, Jason, why don't you go ahead and tell me some bad takes?
I'm refined my hot takes from last night a little bit. I will tell you the issues. I've been playing some Metroid Dread. I will tell you the issues that I've had with it. I played about 30 minutes of it 2 or 3 weeks ago, and I put it down. And then I picked it back up, and I had no idea where I was, what I was doing, or where I was going. And my biggest complaint is, and maybe this is just part of what a Metroid type game is, but the map doesn't really do you many favors. It kind of tells you where you've been, but the color scheme is so flat that it's kind of difficult to interpret the map. I got so lost, and the problem for me, and this is the same problem I had with Hollow Knight, the combat with normal enemies isn't compelling enough so that while I'm backtracking, it's not fun. It's like the same enemies in the same place and the same attack pattern in the same areas. The areas are not diverse enough for me to feel like I'm exploring, and I keep running into the same walls. And so then eventually I just ended up having to look it up, and it ended up being I needed to shoot the ceiling, which I knew I had to shoot the ceiling because there were enemies up there, and I shot the ceiling and it didn't break, but apparently I didn't do it right. So I ended up spending 25 minutes trying to find a place that I kind of knew where it was. It's really annoying. But once I figured out where I was going, it kind of got fun again. It's just those points where you get stuck. I'm fine getting stuck for 5 to 10 minutes. I don't want to get stuck for 25 minutes. It's not fun. What am I doing wrong? Tell me that. What am I doing wrong?
Well, you took a break.
And you didn't set yourself up for success when you took a break.
Right.
I broke at a save point, pointed in the direction of the door I knew I had to go through.
All right, well, then don't say the whole, because yesterday and even just a moment ago, you said that was a big factor in getting confused.
I don't know, man. I think this type of game just might not be my jam.
You are a notorious poor reader of maps. And granted, out of all of the points that you have here, the map isn't good, especially early on. It is way too much data, way too early. And like you said, the color scheme is weird because you have these outlines that are technically the actual rooms, but then the colors are just kind of stylishly offset from those outlines. And you don't know what all colors mean what right away. You just kind of have to ascertain yellow are save points and or communication rooms. Red is lava, blue is ice, green is Emmy rooms that have been cleared because you killed and so forth and so on. And you just get those from context clues. And there are tools in the map that, again, the game never tells you how to use, and there are no more manuals. So how are you ever supposed to do that unless you can figure it out? It says it on the tool tips, but if you're not expecting to have a tool in your map, then you're not necessarily going to check that tool in the map. Like I said, map not so good until you figure it out. Then map real good. So.
Well, actually, what you just said might help me out some, and I do intend on playing more. So I haven't totally given up on it. Like I said, I did find out where I was supposed to be going, and I am on my way to that next Emmy room where I think I might be able to actually get the charge beam to defeat it. So anyway, look forward to more cold takes from Jason. That's all I've got though.
You haven't fought the first major boss, right, with the cutscene and stuff?
No, I fought the first Emmy where it basically just shows you
the tutorial.
Yeah, the tutorial.
Yeah, I mean,
it's your inoculation of the Emmy. It's like a lame one, lame duck.
Right. I don't have an arm. Where's my hand? I can't climb anymore. What killed me because I'm supposed to be unkillable. I never talked about the Emmys last time when I talked about Metroid Dread, probably because unfortunately they are a little forgettable. Like in the grand scheme, like they hype up the Dread thing, and even in like the box art, like there's like the 7 or so of them like in the silhouette. And they're not bad, but they're also just like they quickly become not the point of the game at all. I'm like, well, then why? Why did you make this thing that you're just going to become like that becomes background noise, unfortunately? And you can tell that the game is not prioritizing them anymore. They're just there. And so it just like because I can feel that, that's how I reacted to it. And then eventually by like near the end, you're like, okay, well, this is just a chore now. And I don't want to do a chore because you're treating it like a chore.
And that's why it's a Metroid Dread out of Karch.
I ranked it a Metroid Dread -2 out of Karch.
That's a low score, ladies and gentlemen. It doesn't get much lower than that.
It's not. It's like a 7.9.
No, it's a Metroid Dread You don't understand. It's okay.
Okay, move on from me.
All right. I've been playing some stuff. I mentioned it before, but I want to talk about it a little bit more. I've been playing Final Fantasy XIV, which is an MMO, which I had sworn off. I said, I'm done with MMOs. And I even tried to play Final Fantasy XIV, I don't know, maybe like a year or so ago, year and a half ago. I had a free trial, and there's three major content expansions on top of the base game, which is called A Realm Reborn. I didn't get very far. I'm already farther than I was back then. I've been having a really good time. This is a very well-designed MMO. I'm very late in its life cycle because the final expansion is coming out like in 2 weeks, maybe less at this point. No, I think it's 2 weeks exactly, actually. But it's clear at this point that the quest rewards are way higher than they used to be because I'm already almost level 30 and everything is like 10 to 15 levels underneath me, depending on the quest I'm taking. And I'm skipping literally every quest that isn't part of the main scenario. So I'm only doing like the main story quests. But unlike the only other MMO I'm super familiar with, like World of Warcraft, the main story is actually interesting and it's pointed at you as a person, a character, rather than just being this generic like conflict that's happening on a wide scale. There's voiced cutscenes and it's just really clean. The graphics are really good. Better than any other MMO I've played so far, but again, I don't have a lot of experience with the newer ones like Elder Scrolls or even New World, which just came out a couple of weeks ago. But it's great, and it's not what people have lauded it to be. They're like, oh, this is the best Final Fantasy story in years, which is not hard to do because 15 and the 13 trilogy all have terrible stories, unfortunately. But people say that this is worthy of a main entry story, but it does take a while to get there, and I still haven't got there.
Yeah, it's been interesting because I've with the difficulties WoW is having, and then with New World coming out and already running the difficulties, Final Fantasy XIV apparently has gotten quite the player bump as of late.
Huge. There's always a queue to get in.
Oh wow, yeah. So
I heard New World lost 500,000 players in the first month or something like that.
That's probably not all that unheard of for an MMO. You think about it, because you get a big rush of everyone wanting to try it out, and then not their thing and they drop off.
I guess it depends on how many people were playing initially.
Yeah, because I mean, I don't think New World has a beyond putting in your subscription. It doesn't have a I got to drop $60 and do a subscription like MMOs did back in the day.
Right. Easier to back off from then.
Yeah.
But
14. It's been reading about it. And people have been saying apparently the base story is very slow, but then once you get to the stories of the expansion, apparently it is very good. So I downloaded it. Was I still in Kodiak when I got it? I downloaded it shortly after we got the PS4. It was actually I think the first game I put on my PS4, and I played it for a bit, but I was still grumpy about getting about how much inferior the PS4's home screen is compared to the Xbox and all that. So I just wasn't ready to also deal with trying to learn an MMO at the time.
Sure. And on a controller, it's a pain. It's it was a hurdle to get. I mean, like using the abilities is super fluid and easy. That part was awesome, and that's the most important part. But getting access to my map, and you can use a little touchpad as a mouse and then click on things, but that's kind of annoying. So it took me a good 4 sessions to really get all 90% of my tools under my belt. But real quick, I'm just gonna gush about the story. Has everybody heard about the story of Final Fantasy 14, or rather, has anybody not heard of it?
I haven't really.
have not.
Beyond basically the broad strokes I just gave you, I have not.
Okay, so when this game launched, it was coming off of 11, which was beloved. Final Fantasy 11 was their other MMO, and that launched on PS2 or PS3. I think
PS3. You had to have the modem. I remember that.
Yeah. And it was on PC as well. And again, everybody loved that game. A little bit more niche, and never eclipsed WoW because that was during WoW's heyday, so nothing was going to. But it just kept trudging along, and they never went free to play or anything like that. Then, I don't remember when, but it launched with the PS4. It also came out on PS3, but Final Fantasy 14 basically coincided with the PS4 launch as well. And it was trash. I don't know why. I have yet to look into it. And Danny O'Dwyer, is that Irish guy?
Yes.
Yeah, he runs this YouTube channel called No Clip, and he does video game documentaries. And he did one on this game and its turnaround, and I would like to watch it because people say it's good. But yeah, this game was absolute garbage according to every person who's ever touched it. And it was so hated, beyond a shadow of a doubt. For 2 years, they kept it going, but for 2 years they put pedal to the metal, nose to the grindstone, and completely, utterly rehauled the game altogether. I mean, they kept some assets and some really bare bones systems, but they basically turned around an entirely new, fully functional, end game included, quests filled out, all this stuff in 2 years. And then they incorporated as part of the story of the other game. And so the world was at this war. The Empire, quote unquote, was fighting Eorzea, which is the continent. And then for months, there was this moon thing that just kept getting closer and closer and closer. And then go watch the Realm Reborn trailer, because it's basically the end of that old game and the beginning of this new one. And there's just this giant war, and the moon finally gets so close to the planet, and it bursts open, and Bahamut comes out of it, and he just destroys everything with Mega Flare. Everybody dies. And then basically the story for the Realm Reborn, which is what it currently is your character is the spirit of one of those warriors of light, projected forward in time 5 years, and nobody remembers any of them. And there's this scar on the land where it was, and then now it's one of the most well-beloved video games of all time / or rather MMOs of all time. And it's you just don't get success stories like that.
Was that 11 or 14, Karch?
14. This was all I'm talking about is 14 specifically.
Sorry, I may have said 11 was the PS3. It was actually PS2. It came out.
I was gonna. I looked
That's
it up.
what I
I was
thought.
gonna correct you because
my
PS3
bad,
had
my
a built-in modem.
Yep, my bad.
Yep.
I think it did eventually come to PS3 once the PS3 launched, but
Anyway, back to 14. Sorry.
yeah, that's it. It's just it's crazy that someone would be so bold and so successful in literally taking from the ground up an MMO with a terrible concept. Whatever that was, I don't know why people hated it, but they did. Nobody liked it, not a single person. Some people want original servers to come back just because they want to see how bad it was and have that for historical archive purposes, but nobody actually wants to play it. Some people mistakenly want to play vanilla WoW. Yeah, that's it though. I'm done gushing about that. Played some Animal Crossing 2.0.0. It launched early last night about 10 o'clock. It was supposed to come out today, but Twitter was abuzz with just people realizing that the update came, and unfortunately I didn't get to play it. Juliet played I'm gonna cut that out. My daughter played about 30 minutes of it, and unfortunately we didn't get to see a lot of the new stuff because in classic Animal Crossing fashion, either the cool, for instance, Brewster is this pigeon and he runs a cafe. And I love coffee, and I want to go into the cafe and I want to drink coffee. Except you have to do this goofy little, quote-unquote quest as far as Animal Crossing is concerned, which it doesn't tell you have to do. None of the promotional material said you had to do it. Because my daughter was the one playing, it wouldn't let her do it because she's not the main, profile owner on the Switch / Animal Crossing island. So I had to log in, go do this thing, and then he's like, okay, yeah, I'll be here 2 days from now. And I'm like, well, what? If this wasn't free, I'd be really mad, but it was. And I mean, there's just a bunch of cool stuff that I'm not going to get to see right away because they're just doing that thing they do where they like gatekeep behind these arbitrary time barriers. And I know why they do it. They don't want you to rush through all the content because there's only so much of it in the first place. But at the same time, as a casual Animal Crossing player, I just want to be able to like do the things. I want to cook the stuff. I want to get the new furniture and all that.
So was this the expansion that you were talking about potentially getting the expansion pack Nintendo Switch Online to play?
No,
or is this
so
a separate
that
thing?
content, this is the free update that came with a bunch of really cool stuff, and it's here now and it's live and everybody has access to that. The paid content is basically like a separate like kind of mini game isn't the right word, but it's like a game within a game.
It's like a separate mode.
Yeah,
Gotcha.
exactly. Yeah, it's like a separate mode. That is the paid DLC that comes with the expansion pack if you sign up for that on Nintendo Online. I will be buying it. I'll buy it separately and then download it so we can play it tomorrow after she gets home from school. But I won't have any thoughts on that until whenever we record next time.
That's what I thought you were saying came out earlier in the text thread. I thought it was that paid content.
No, I don't think they would do that just like without their little advertising plan in place. So
That's why I was really surprised.
I mean, everyone was still surprised about the other one because they usually still don't do stuff like that. But it was technically Friday in Japan. You know, it was the whole "what time is it in Japan" joke, but in real life.
Love it.
Mm-hmm. But that's all I've been playing: Final Fantasy 14, Final Fantasy 6, and Animal Crossing. But not really Animal Crossing. Sean, what have you been playing?
Nothing.
Nothing. Oh no! Not even SWOTOR.
I have 10 to 20. So work's just been kicking my butt, right? And so I've been getting home late, and then I got to work out, I got to make dinner, and then I'm just beat. So I haven't been playing any video games in the evening. The one upside is I'm beat, so I am going to bed somewhat like earlier. So I've been able to get up a little bit. Like instead of getting up at 6, I'm getting up at like 5:40, 5:45, and I'm squeezing in like 10-15 minutes of SWOTOR in the morning.
Nice.
I think I've done that like 3 days this last week.
So you said you have to work out and then eat after work, or cook and eat, whatever. Just don't do both of those. And then the calories you burned won't go away, and then you won't have to worry about eating, and then you can play video games instead.
That's genius, Karch.
Yeah,
I
it makes
am a
sense to
genius.
me.
Yeah,
You should be a life coach.
The math checks
That's-
out.
Your math is solid. The only downside is I also am the one who feeds my wife, so
Oh, that's harder. Yeah, it's a little more tricky.
He's got you there. Karch.
the loss of wife brownie points may tip that equation.
Robert, what have you been playing while you're not eating?
Well, I beat the Medium on my Xbox Game Pass.
Nice.
That's impressive because last we talked, you were like, "Oh, I played like 30 minutes of that game."
Yeah. It was difficult for me because it was. I feel bamboozled. I feel
I
was
hoodwinked.
tricked. Yeah, I was hoodwinked into this game that they put on the Xbox Game Pass, and they're like, next gen everything, and we couldn't do this before this generation because the specifications just couldn't handle it. But no, they took an old computer game where you can only walk or jog, and the gameplay is consisting of edges, like wall shimmying, catwalk, board walking, and it was terrible. But I believe I'm griping and not telling you what I played. So the Medium, it passed the time. But really, the game that I'm looking forward to next is that I, just like last week, I've only played about 30 minutes of it, The Forgotten City.
I'm excited to
Playing
hear
that in
this.
Skyrim or as a standalone?
As the standalone.
Okay.
Because
And
I've heard a lot of buzz about this. What's the premise of this game? Like, what kind of game
This
is it?
looks
What's
so
the deal?
cool. I saw the trailer.
Yes, so the premise of the game, the general premise is that there is an ancient Roman city that basically was under this rule where everybody has to follow a certain golden rule, and if somebody breaks that rule, then every single person in this city is killed and or turned to gold or something to that effect. And it's I haven't gotten like into the nitty gritty of it to tell you how the gameplay is too much, but so far it's very beautiful and well put together. And I was also struck by some nostalgia, because if you look around when you first start playing the game, you can pretty much tell, yeah, this was made with Skyrim.
So is this more of like just a narrative experience kind of game, or?
When I started it, it was very, very narrative. It led you by the hand to a certain extent, and I'm sure it opens up after a certain point, but I haven't gotten to that point yet.
Gotcha.
Yeah, because my recollection is, I mean, cause this game was originally made as a large mod for Skyrim.
Yes.
It did. Yeah, your combat skills and all that were not pertinent really to what was going on in the game. I think it's very much kind of more of a narrative,
yes,
Myst-style puzzle game almost. Yeah,
there's even a disclaimer at the beginning that says, only like 3 or 4 people made this over a few years, so this is story based. Don't try and brute force your way through it.
Anything else?
And the last thing that I have been dipping into is that new world that you guys had just mentioned. I decided to take a whack at it, and I gotta say, it's a very fresh MMO. Feels very like they knew what people are looking for in an MMO.
Question for you, Robert.
Yes.
Because I played the beta of this back when it was in beta, and I had also recently gotten into Elder Scrolls Online, and like it didn't feel as fresh to me because I had played Elder Scrolls Online. Can you speak to that? Have you played any Elder Scrolls Online?
Yes, I also have played Elder Scrolls Online. Elder Scrolls Online definitely more polished, and it's been around for longer, so they have more quality of life improvements in it. Whereas New World, I think they're trying to tap into that old school MMO feel. There's not even any mounts in it, so you have to run everywhere. But I will say this. They have understood what it is to have like a pleasing gameplay character movement. Like when I'm in an MMO running for, very long periods of time, I want to at least feel like there's some sort of pleasing kinetic force with which my character is going forward, that he's not lumbering super slow or what have you. And I will say New World, like there's something weirdly pleasing about the way all the players' characters like sprint like there's no tomorrow. Like I love it.
That's awesome. Yeah, I remember playing DC Universe Online or whatever it was called for like 20 seconds with Jason, and your characters they lumbered around in this like jumpy gate, and it was the dumbest thing in the world, and I hated it so much. Amongst many other
try to
reasons.
fly, but that was like worse.
Like you could jump and leap in like large distances too as part of like your movement, but when you were just like running, it was like a cartoon. Like when SpongeBob characters would run. Like, like an action sequence. That's what it looked like all the time, and it was so bad.
Right.
We're
calling you out, Greg Miller. DC Universe Online's terrible.
It is. Do you like it, though?
I like the gameplay, like the classes and how you play it is very engaging and active. So I like it, but the story is just... It might just be me being jaded after too many MMOs, but it's boring as hell. Like, there's nothing special about it at all.
Yeah, that's the two main things I read about this is that, there's not... Because they're trying to lean very heavy into that, like, you join a faction, and the dynamics of this game is because the player-run factions are going to be struggling against each other.
Right.
And that's
not that fun.
From the sounds of it, hasn't quite worked out. And some of the fun, the more enjoyable, like exciting activities are end game, but also there's not a huge purpose to them. So the end game's not particularly rewarding. And then the other thing is, and we were talking about this in our chat group earlier in the week, is this game has some serious economy problems. because of the fact that it is so dependent upon the players to do all the crafting and whatnot to make the high level items.
Yeah, actually, and I just could be a rube here and not know, but as opposed to all these other MMOs, there's no in-game merchant trading type of system. So you can't go to like the blacksmith and sell all your junk that you just got. You have to either salvage it, which is essentially like throwing it in the garbage and taking like nothing out of it, or putting it on an auction house. But the item worth is like, it only will get bought if another player buys it. So there's no like real way to make money unless you make yourself useful.
There's no NPC merchants to sell to.
Right.
And apparently gold is very, this game is very stingy with the gold. So buying stuff is like, I was reading something where it was like people were resorting to hawking their wares and being like, I will give you this for 10 wood. And they were resorting to the bartering system because gold is so hard to come by.
Oh yeah.
That sounds kind of cool on the one hand because it reminds me of
not
little
fun.
bit of like. Wait, no. Just hear me out. It reminds me a little bit of how I felt when I first started playing Diablo 2 online. When I was like, please take this quilted armor and just give me any gem. Just give me any gem. But on the other hand, I can see why that would be really annoying in 2020.
Yeah, well, I don't think you want to be doing that when you're like max level.
Well, yeah, no, that's true too.
What's the aesthetic for this game? Like, I don't know this setting. I don't
It looks
know.
like Elder Scrolls Online.
It is the aesthetic is
Conquistador.
It's supposed to it's like Conquistador aesthetic where supposedly people from all over the world are getting trapped by arcane mystical storms on this island. No one can leave the island. Everybody just shows up on it. And then the plot is no one dies on the island. Everyone is immortal. However, the longer that the time goes by and the more times you die, apparently the more that there's something called corruption that starts eating away at people. And so all the enemies in the game are either normal people that have been corrupted, essentially going insane from too much immortality. And then you have like just pure monster looking things.
Yeah, gotcha.
That's about it. Yeah.
Interesting. I'll be passing.
Do you think there's potential there for them to mold this into something better down the road?
Yes, and I'm gonna make a forecast here, and I'm gonna say that they're probably gonna start up a subscription service, and they're probably gonna add like way more to the game at that point. But like I know,
is it entirely free to play right now?
Right now, yeah, it only costs $40. Which
okay, so okay, that negates my earlier statement. I thought this was entirely subscription based and didn't have a baseline purchase.
The opposite actually.
Oh.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
That's very uncommon. You don't even need like an Amazon Prime subscription.
I mean I have one, but I don't. It is possible the Amazon gods in my computer are like secretly looking and making sure, but I didn't have to like sign in to play it or nothing. It was just, I got it off Steam. So, yeah.
Cool.
Robert, if you would like to unlock this new sword ability, you better order something with Prime in the next 24 hours.
That would be amazing. I would kind of play that just for the insanity. Also, I order a ton off of Amazon, so I bet I'd be really good at it.
No.
Microtransactions in the form of like Tide Pods. Like I ordered Tide Pods on Lightning deal, and boom, I get a lightning bolt that I throw.
Terrible. Jason, you need to find an MMO to talk about.
No, please no. I hate them so much.
They're usually pretty bad.
Yeah. Well, I must say this in a funny thing because I did try Final Fantasy 14 after all the other MMOs, just because I was like, I'm dipping my toes. Let's not be biased here. I'll see how this is because my good friend Kark had told me, And so I tried it, and it took me like an hour of fighting with the program to get it to start finally, and then when it did, like, I couldn't handle it. It was too old for me.
It is
Just
old.
old.
It is still old at this point, and I cannot wait to get to the not old content because it's as charming as it is. It's charming in a like, oh, okay, yeah, I remember how this used to be way,
Right.
with the promise of more to come. So I'll be really mad if it turns out it wasn't very good in the long run. But for now,
I like my MMO single player campaign in SWTOR.
and that's what I have now. It's the same for everybody.
Yeah.
But like it is a very single player campaign kind of thing. And again, they trimmed all that. Like everywhere I go, there's quests. People like with little exclamations above their heads everywhere. And at some point in time, I'm sure I had to do all those if I wanted to be the appropriate level. But now that they've streamlined things, I can just again do the main scenario, and it's like I'm playing SWTOR in that fashion. So
I didn't have a gaming gripe of the week, but you just triggered me.
I'm sorry.
Why are so many MMOs basically just single player games with a ton of other people in them? Like, when's the last time any of you played with somebody else, like an MMA? And I'm not talking about us streaming SWTOR. Like, do you sought out to play that with somebody? I just don't understand the purpose
Destiny.
of them.
I played with somebody in. I mean, it was a match finding service, but there were people in the party when we did the dungeon that needs a group of 4, and I always, whenever I played WoW, it was always in like when Robert was also playing, and maybe we didn't play every minute together, but we'd often group up and play together.
Yeah.
Okay, that's fair.
I loved Vault of Glass and whatever the Onyx one, the second raid was, shepherding people through those when I was playing Destiny. I did it all the time.
Destiny to me is a little bit different than any other MMO, but
It's still the
I
same
hear you.
premise, though. It's the same concept, the same hooks, and the idea, like, because you can play almost the whole thing by yourself until that end game content, and that's really where that is. There was a time and a place for constantly grouping up because content was so hard, or there were like just lots of group quests that could only be accomplished but with 2 or 3 or 4 people. That has fallen to the wayside. Yes, you can level up without anybody's assistance, and it has become more appealing to do so by yourself. But the second you hit level cap and it's time to quote unquote really start the game, you're constantly playing with other people, whether that's PvP or group stuff or raids or dungeons or whatever.
Yeah, it's often the only way to get the highest level gear in a lot of MMOs.
Yeah.
I think I just missed the bus on MMOs. It's never going to be my genre, but yeah.
It was never going to be your genre
I mean-
anyway, because you don't like video
I
games.
mean, let's face it, SWTOR is the first one I've ever really played.
Yeah.
We're not counting Destiny.
I'm counting Destiny.
Huh.
Because it's why
Well, I've played half of MMO because Karch counts it, but Jason doesn't.
You got more to gripe about?
No, that's it. I mean, I hate MMOs. I hate
That's
the fact
fine.
that they feel like theme parks. I've said this a million times. I feel like I'm getting on a carnival ride. I'm like, oh, let me kill the boss this time, and then I put in my quarter and I get my little gun, and the targets run across. Go pshoo, 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 and I get a stuffed animal, and then I walk off, and the enemies automatically just come back to life, and then the next group gets to come through and have their turn.
This
I
just
hate
in.
the
Jason
HUD.
hates respawning enemies.
I hate respawn. I really do. I really do. I hate that the HUDs are so busy. You have like ads
They're
going,
very
chat
busy.
going, colors going, exclamation points going, characters' names. They're all green or yellow or white, and enemies are all red. And
It's so funny because
how
you
many
love
times did you
much
run
to
the same
hate
level in
about it.
Diablo?
right. Exactly. He
Say that again.
loves messing.
How many times
with,
did you run the same level in Diablo?
I had to exit the game for the enemies to respawn there.
that? Right. That's a flaw. There should be like a nice refresh button or a
I say,
timer.
that sounds like a gameplay loop flaw.
Yeah.
I like it
No,
so much.
but Mr. will spend 45 minutes fiddling around with sound equipment and sliders on volume mixers. Gets mad when the HUDs are too busy. I don't understand you. Why don't you fall in love with
It
that?
doesn't feel like
What-
a game. It just feels
But it's
weird.
not. It's not a game, and neither is the volume mixing. But you love it. Why don't you love that? Because it's the same thing. Go to the settings. Ooh, I like this. Let me tailor it to exactly the way I want to play. Maybe you're just looking at it wrong. Maybe if
I
you
don't know, man.
pretend that it's like work, then you'll like it.
I think you're right. I just don't like games, but I could be.
You
done
love work
griping.
though. That's what I'm saying. You got to change
No,
your
but, I mean,
perspective.
I agree. I mean, I'm
No,
enjoying
you're
SWTOR
totally right.
because
You're totally right.
I love Star Wars, and SWTOR's got enough of I get to pick responses for my character and kind of role play my character. But the gameplay, let's face it, I would much rather be playing a Mass Effect or something with a better set of gameplay. It's enjoyable enough, but it's
And at the
not
same
great.
time, I wouldn't want to play anything for this long. And so it's a blessing that the gameplay is simplistic,
Yes.
like you can't trudge through 100 levels and anywhere between 30 and 3,000 hours of content, depending on how long you stick with it and how much you go through it. But yeah, we don't have to belabor why MMOs suck, because we all know why they suck, but we still get sucked in anyway. Jason's just the strongest willed of us all. That's all. Drink break. All right, we are going to talk. I'm not going to mess this up, because if I do, Jason will be mad. We're going to talk top 5 Mario games of all time. Q4 2021.
I'm so proud of you.
I thought we were just talking top Mario games of Q4 2021.
No, Sean, that's stupid. No one would ever do that,
No one would ever do that.
because that would only consist of Mario Party.
Yeah.
And that's it. Anyway, despite Jason swearing we did, like many other things, we have never talked about, at least in list format, our favorite Mario games. And so we're going to do that today. We're going to go through one at a time. Some of us ranked them, some of us didn't. I believe we all ranked at least the last one, the number one. I don't know if that note ever got back to Robert, but we did.
I did.
Oh, perfect. There we go. And so we'll go around the circle, Karch, Jason, Sean, Robert, and then back to each one. If you want, you can mention your honorable mentions at the top, and I'm going to do that now. Here we go. Honorable mentions are Superstar Saga, but that's the first Mario and Luigi game on the GBA. Fantastic sequel to Super Mario RPG Legend of the Seven Stars. Some say Paper Mario is that sequel. Paper Mario is such a different game, I don't even really count it like that is the concept that they took, but Superstar Saga is a much better realization successor to Legend of the Seven Stars. And it had a bunch more sequels to it, like the Mario and Luigi series, but the next two are the only really good ones, especially Bowser's Inside Story. It's a very good game. Of all the Mario parties, I have extreme fondness for Mario Party 8. Robert can attest to that, because Mario is a cheater, because he always wins, and I always pick him. But I also love playing that game with my wife. One of the very few video games that we've played consistently together over the years. And it is just like the best Mario Party, in my opinion. I don't remember the 64 ones a lot, but I love that game. Mario Golf is just a stupidly awesome concept. And has gotten worse over time. I haven't played the newest one because it looks stupid, and I was kind of confirmed by all the reviews and people's opinions on that, so I didn't touch it. But I love the 64 one and Toadstool Tour on the GameCube. And then finally, in my opinion, the best handheld Mario of all time is Mario 3D Land for the 3DS. It's a very, very, very good game. So starting with number 5 on my list anyway.
We're going to go round robin, Karch?
We will go round robin, yeah.
Okay.
So my number 5 is Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. It is peak Mario Kart. I don't know where you go from here. I've done everything in this game that you can except get like the coins necessary to get the golden parachute, but I've got Golden Mario and I've got the Golden Mario Kart. Those are the unlockables, right? Golden Mario?
The tires, you got to do time trials for that.
Right, okay, so I don't have the coins or the time trials, and I'm not doing that. I dipped my toes into the time trials, and that was stupid hard. They're so hard. But I did the 200cc. Oh, man. That game at 200cc is so fun. It's so thrilling. That's how fast you go, and like all the courses from across the series, plus new ones, all the cool characters. The deluxe version, of course, being everything, lumped into one. I don't know where you go from here. I don't know where you go from here other than, of course, new courses are great. I want new courses now. I wish they'd do DLC. But
do you want us to talk about it if we have it on our list too right now?
Nah, we'll just hit you up.
Okay.
Because I didn't know anybody's lists because I want to keep it a secret. Keep it safe.
Sealed.
But yeah, at this point, you have to do Smash Bros. Mario Kart, which they kind of already started dipping their toe into by adding Link and Animal Crossing characters and Inklings and stuff.
Donkey Kong's been in the series forever due to his
that too.
unique relationship with Mario.
Exactly. So I mean, and I wouldn't hate that, but it's also not something I like need.
But are you ready for there to be like 20 million Fire Emblem characters in Mario Kart?
I'm not ready for that.
Only if they can use their swords.
Obviously, they're all going to have counter.
Exactly,
Duh.
they're gonna counter all the items. But yeah, that was my first one. So Jason, what is the first? What are your mentions if you have any, and what's your first one?
So my honorable mentions are Super Smash Bros. And I just put that out there because I personally tie that to Mario, even though Mario's not in the title. And so I didn't rank it. Super Mario RPG, I haven't beat it, which is probably just like blasphemous, but I haven't beat it. Maybe I'll go back to the Nintendo Switch Online and play it someday.
It's not on there.
Nope.
It's not on there.
It's not on there, man. It's so
It's
stupid.
a
It's on the It's on the SNES Mini. You can go ahead and find
I'll
one of those.
never play it then. I'll never play it. Mario Party 64. Frickin' love that game.
It's a great
I
game.
know you said
It's great.
8, but OG is so good too. And then lastly, I do have a couple of 3D Marios ranked, but Mario Galaxy isn't one of them. I do think that it feeds into some of the ones that I ranked, and I'll talk about that. But I didn't rank Galaxy 1 or 2 in my list. It's an honorable mention for me.
Cool.
Sean, you have a comment about Smash Bros here?
Yeah, I typed a joke in there that Smash Bros is not a Mario game. It's a game about the fact that Link is better than everyone, especially
Link
if you're playing
is so
Melee.
good. Oh
Link
my
is rigged.
gosh.
Link is rigged in Melee. and
Link
I
is a
love it.
cheater. He's the real cheater. That's what's going on.
I honestly hate the fact that they nerfed him so much in the Switch version.
Yeah, it's fair. Still kick all your butts.
I know he's
It's
still
not
really good.
fair that they changed his bombs. It's not fair.
He's still really good though.
He is really good, but I hate those bombs.
Yeah, it
pick
just
a better
changes. It changes the technique a little bit.
I mean, I started playing with young Link, but he's not as heavy, so that's hard too. And he doesn't have the reach.
Doesn't.
So my
Sean.
number 5 is Super Mario 3D World,
Oh, I
specifically
thought you said it
the
already.
Switch port. I love this game. I beat this entire game with my 4-year-old son, which is incredible because honestly, it was really hard, but we powered through. And then we beat the Bowser's Fury DLC, which is such an incredible addition. And if you haven't played it, I know at some point Kart said, don't buy this game just for the Bowser's Fury DLC, but it's really good. And I would say like it's a good 10 to 12 hours of content.
Is it really that long?
I don't know. I was playing with a 4-year-old, and half
True.
the time he made me be Bowser Jr., so I don't know. But and he was running around on what's the little thing you ride on? What's
Plessy?
Yeah, Plessy.
Yeah.
He was just riding Plessy like for
Pleasy.
probably 5 of those hours. But the thing I love about Bowser's Fury DLC, it's the design philosophies of 3D World, but it's kind of more of the gameplay of Odyssey. And so all those mechanics and all those things that you will kind of learn as you go through 3D World then come to fruition in this more open environment of Bowser's Fury, which is really cool. I think this is the best. I also think this, in general, this is probably the best multiplayer Mario game, in my opinion. And that includes the new Super Mario Bros. On Wii, Wii U, and Switch. I know those are modeled after the classic. I don't love the art style, and I don't love the feel of those games. This one's great because it's just that it brings out the worst in everybody, but in the best way.
I do love the multiplayer in that.
Yeah, just pick up your friends, throw them off the edge. It's chaos, but it's amazing. And that's all I have to say.
Sean.
So I'll note here, I've not played a lot of. Well, I've played an okay amount of Mario games. I have not beaten a lot of Mario games, and most of my Mario interactions goes back to the SNES. I've played surprisingly few 3D Mario games, and we'll certainly probably see that in my list. I know we said we could. I just made a decision. I'm not including any of the party, kart, or sports games in my list because that made it too complicated for me.
Sure.
And again, Smash Bros. Doesn't count because it's a story about how awesome Link is. My honorable mention real quick, though, is Mario and Rabbids Kingdom Battle.
It's a good one. I
think
forgot about that one.
I think it was the second game I got on my Switch because obviously I started with Breath of the Wild, and I was very skeptical of that game, and I had a blast playing that game. I really enjoyed. I've always enjoyed kind of the Final Fantasy tactics, even though this one's I guess more XCOM, but the grid-based, turn-based combat is something I've always had a lot of fun with, and for a long time after beating that game, because my wife sat there and watched me play it. Screaming like rabbits was a common thing to be heard within our household.
Like you were saying the phrase, or you were screaming like a rabbit does?
We were doing the "Wah!"
Gotcha.
like rabbits.
I'm glad you married each other. Glad you
Or
married each other.
I would do the Terminator theme like a rabbit. That was another thing I kept doing. My number 5, and Amelia, going back, I played this on the NES, but I probably played it more on Mario All Stars on the Super NES. Is Super Mario Bros. 3. Just a great themes, kind of wonderful levels. I love that it progresses. The overworld, which was a nice improvement compared to the past entries in the series, and we would see again, and made even better in Super Mario World. Are all fantastic. The power ups, from the Tanuki tail to the Tanuki suit, and are just iconic. Even though it took forever to get them back in a lot of the bigger name series. However, one reason this is probably lower on my list is I never beat this one. It's one I still actually need to go back someday. Actually, now that I have my SNES here at the house with me, maybe I will.
You need to.
I never
use
beat
the
Mario Bros.
flutes,
3.
warp to World 9, beat it. Man.
No, don't do that. Play the whole way, but don't play the SNES version. It's not good. Play the original version on the Switch. Pay for the online for a month, and then play that. Because I can't.
What's wrong with the All Stars version?
The graphics are hideous.
Huh. I must not remember that.
They're not. They're fine, but it's just not the same. And I've got the nostalgia locked in so hard, like it just upsets me to look at Mario's sprite and a couple like they touch things up to look more, Super Nintendo-y. Not significant, but it just doesn't work. It doesn't work for me.
I could also, when I'm home for Christmas, pick up my NES and all my NES games and just play it old school style.
There you go.
That's now you're thinking.
And let that little brick, the corners on that controller cut into my hands.
Oh, it hurts so much. Blech.
Oh.
All right,
Robert, how about you?
All right. Well, my honorable mention is it's more of a series, I guess. The Mario and Luigi, the handheld games. I discovered that thanks to Kart, because before that, I think some of them even were when they were like Baby Mario 2, and so I thought, this is stupid. I'm not even gonna look at that. And then they were like super fun. I can't even remember the specific ones in the series, just that it was a very cool style of gameplay that I liked. And then, yeah.
Is there any good way to play those now? Because I've never played any of them, but I want to.
Do you still have a DS?
No.
Then you could emulate the GBA one easily enough on a phone. There is a lot of the combat requires action pressing, it's turn based, but when you do an attack and when enemies attack you, you do have to press buttons to time attacks well so you can do better, and time defense well so you take less damage. So there's an active component to it, so that may or may not be good on a phone. But if you're fine just sitting using a controller on your iPad or whatever, or using a controller on a PC, then they're very good.
You got me that really nice phone clip thing for the Xbox controller, so I'll use it. Yeah.
Load it up.
But I don't know how it will work with some, because I remember that in some of those games, the DS functionality was built into the game, like the dual screen touch screen part, right?
I wouldn't have him play the DS ones. I would only have him play because the very first one was a GBA game.
Oh, I didn't know that. Huh.
Yeah.
Look at that. I'm learning new things about Mario already.
Hooray!
And then let me go into my number 5, which is exactly the same as Sean's. Super Mario Bros. 3 was the very first Mario I ever played on my first system, which was an SNES.
Y'all ranking this too low. Too low.
I have too many others to rank is the issue.
Wait till we get further in my list.
But yeah, so that's about it. It's just the nostalgia factor, I guess, for me, of that was my first introduction to it before anybody. So
what system was that on, Robert?
The Super Nintendo.
Okay, so was your first introduction to it on the All Stars?
No,
it would have to be. That's
well,
the
then
only way to
yes.
play it on. Yeah.
Okay.
All I remember is
the
it was
original release was an NES game.
This was just on. It could have been with the other games, but I only played
on
Super
All
Mario
Stars.
Brothers 3, I think, on it.
Gotcha.
So,
Right.
Yeah. So that was it.
Cool. other than my final one, I didn't rank these because it's too hard. But my next one on my list anyway of my top 5 is Paper Mario: The Thousand Year Door. So Paper Mario came out, and again, this was reported as like a pseudo sequel to Legend of the Seven Stars, which is an amazing game on the Super Nintendo. It's a turn-based Mario RPG made by Squaresoft. During its heyday, it was put your hands together, you get the best of both worlds. And then Paper Mario came out, and it was not anything like
original Kingdom Hearts.
Exactly, the original Kingdom Hearts. and Paper Mario for the 64 came out. It's just called Paper Mario, and it was nothing like it. It didn't look like it. It only barely played like it. It seemed on the surface like a game for babies at a time where I was, starting to like make decisions as like, do I still like things that are, quote unquote childish or not? I still got it. I don't know. Maybe I rented it. I don't remember how I came around, but I fell in love with that game pretty quick. And then
I remember you playing it.
Yeah, it's great. Played it, beat it, had the strategy guide, got it all, did all the things. I loved it. But we're not talking about the first one because we're talking about its sequel, a direct sequel on the GameCube. Paper Mario: The Thousand Year Door. It's one of the best games of all time. It's probably in my top 20 on the list. I'd have to go reference it, but it's really high up there. And it is whatever Paper Mario is and isn't in regards to 7 stars. It's still a really good game, but it could have used some improvements. And then Thousand Year Door comes in and just perfects it. There is no we all complain in the Paper Mario community about Sticker Star and Color Splash and Origami King. Just they refuse to make a sequel to Thousand Year Door, a proper one. Oh, and the dumb one, Super Paper Mario on the Wii that nobody liked, except some people do. But this was just Paper Mario perfected. The turn-based stuff, the partners were better. The story was actually really, really good. Peach gets kidnapped, but it's different this time because it's not Bowser. They did that thing in the Mario franchise where they'll do the first one and it's Toadstool Kingdom and it's like whatever. And then the next one, it's like, what? Why, we go to, technically it was the Doki Doki Panic game for Super Mario Brothers 2, and that was like, what is this fever dream? And that's where Shy Guys get introduced, and Birdo gets introduced, and there's no Koopas, and nothing makes sense, and it's some lizard dude or frog guy is the main boss. And
that was the one where they just changed the sprites for the US release, right?
Correct. But then it became a thing, because then you got Super Mario 64, this is what we were kind of expecting. But then Sunshine comes like, where are we? We're in this island plaza resort and there's these weird Delfino people. And then so there's this history and theme of making really weird Mario sequels. And Paper Mario does that as well. You're not in Toadstool Kingdom anymore. You're taking some sort of vacation and there's just so many different enemy types and characters and locations that you just wouldn't normally go to. One of them being like a theme park in which a wrestling competition is taking place, and then you're basically getting drafted into this competition because they have the MacGuffin you need, and you're going through this tournament / mystery where you have to figure out, you have to play detective and figure out what's going on in between your matches while you fight the enemies in your matches, and you work your way up to the boss of the whole area. And it's just, oh my gosh, it's so much fun, and it's long and it's involved and it's got secrets out galore. It's just everything you could
beautiful.
Want. And it does.
I
so
think it
good.
would hold up. I think it would hold up because of the art style. Because I remember, and not to interrupt you, but I've never played this game, but this came out in 2004, and I still lived in Florida, and I remember when you got this for the GameCube, and I watched you play this for probably 3 or 4 hours in the middle of the game.
Yeah.
And I just remember I didn't know what was going on, but I was mesmerized by how beautiful this game was.
It is. And I played that. I got this for Christmas, and I knocked it out in 48 hours. I played a huge chunk of it at night, and then, I eventually went to bed, and I played it all day the next day, and then I think
I came over that next day.
Yeah, probably. Just, I was like, yeah, you can come over. I'm not going to pay attention to you or, get up or anything.
It was awesome.
Yeah. But yeah, this game is great, and the writing is so funny and so witty. There is no Mario game with as much charm as this, other than maybe Legend of the Seven Stars, but it really is a tough competition. But I will stop waxing and waning over this. Jason, what's your next one?
I don't have much to say about it because my number 4 is Mario Kart 8, and I think you said everything there is to say. This is a great game. It's got so much polish. It's amazing. It's incredible. It feels great. 200cc is peak Mario Kart 8.
It is.
And again, like you said, where do you go from here? I don't know what to expect out of a Mario Kart 9. But for now, I'm just enjoying 8. It's fantastic. I love playing with it. It's accessible enough for me to have a lot of fun playing with my 4-year-old, but it is difficult enough that we haven't been able to do everything and unlock everything. I mean, there's still things to be done in the end game, like you said. I mean, we don't have the gold wheels. We probably will never will. We don't have the coins for the golden parachute, but it is an incredible game. And yeah, I mean, I could talk about it all day. I know I've gushed about this game a lot, so I won't say much more on it because we've already talked about it.
It's awesome. Sean.
My number 4 is Super Mario Odyssey, which I only recently beat.
It's a very good game.
It incidentally is the only 3D Mario that I have ever beaten.
That surprises me.
I really enjoyed
beat
this game.
64.
I beat it in chunks, though. So the knock I'll give against it is, while I had fun when I sat down and played it, it was never a game where I was like, yeah, I want to get back and play that. Like, it was very easy for other games to come along and be like, you'll have more fun playing this. And I was like, yeah, you're probably right. That said, the Mario and Cappy was a lot of fun. I enjoyed, because the only other 2 3D Marios I've played are Mario 64 and then Mario Sunshine. And I remember one thing that at the time that I disliked with Sunshine, and that I probably would hold less against it now, is Sunshine didn't play, like, its controls were not similar to Mario 64. Whereas Odyssey, it adds in the whole Cappy and throwing on the cap, but every other, like, to the point of, like, the triple jump and the crouch slide jump, like, all those controls are identical. The different jumps Mario can do are exactly how you did them in Mario 64, and so it was very easy for me to slot in, getting to see Paulina and a lot of the kind of cool references to the history of Mario, and then ending that and being able to go inside Peach's castle, done pretty much exactly looking like it did in Mario 64 was pretty cool.
I too love Mario Odyssey. I do not love how many moons there are.
I got more than the bare minimum, but I was very much like, I'm gonna get the moons that I need, and I'm gonna get moons fairly quickly, and I'm gonna move on to the next world and beat this game. So
did you just rolled credits, right? You did the big sequence with Bowser at the end.
Correct. Yeah, I rolled credits and broke up his wedding and had my fight with Bowser and took over Bowser and all that.
Gotcha. Yeah, there's like 2 additional, like, quote unquote endings after you get, like, certain thresholds of moons, and I did one of them, but I didn't do the next one, like that. That's like the actual beating the game, but I do hope to get back to it one day.
I guarantee I will not.
All right, then.
Going out and gathering extra moons and extra stars and all that, and it's just not my cup of tea.
Yeah, but I get what you mean about like once you're done with it, you are kind of done with it. It is hard to go back. You're having fun while you play it, but if you don't just kind of feel that urge to go back, it's hard.
Yeah,
to
I don't know quite how to describe it. Yeah, it just didn't have, like, it didn't get its hooks in me. Like, usually a lot of games where I'm like, God, I got to find a way to make time to play this game because I want to play more. Mario Odyssey was like, I want to beat this game because it's a good game and I want to beat it, but it was like, but I'll get to it eventually, and I basically beat it over the course of a couple of years now.
Cool. Robert.
All right, my number 4 would probably be Super Mario 64.
Nice.
Just because that was the I think that was that one of the first games released on the Nintendo 64?
Yeah,
I think it was a launch title.
Yeah, so a launch title.
It was a pack-in with the Nintendo 64.
Mm-hmm. So that was, day one, blowing my little baby me brain of like going from 2D to 3D, and my God, I was terrible at it. Like, I was so bad at Mario 64. It's probably the last game that I didn't finish because I was so unskilled as a child in that. I was just like, I can't even keep going with this. But it was also at the time when you were you had that kid ability to persevere even if you weren't beating a game. So I was like, all right, I can have fun with this for a little bit.
You could just play around in the courtyard for hours and not care.
That was it. I would run around in the courtyard, go into the mansion, and then like I'd play a level and die, and then be like, but the courtyard's more fun. So I'm just
That is literally how Luke, my son, plays games.
Yeah.
It's wild to watch him. He doesn't even care. He's just like, whatever.
Yep.
I hate to think the amount of hours that I probably spent with the opening thing and distorting Mario's face.
Oh,
yeah, that part's really fun too.
I remember that. Yes, that
I would do that
because it was like up front, like 3D. Here we go.
Like,
It was
if you held down Z, it would like keep.
it would hold it in place.
Yeah.
Yep.
I would do that at Target because I didn't have enough time to really load into a game, but like would be near that section. I'd run over and I'd be like pull on Mario's face for like 10 seconds and be like, bye.
Well, remember that was like the coolest ass thing because no other games until then had a title screen that was interactive. And
yeah,
so
that too.
it
Just
was
the
like,
fact that
oh
you could
my
do
God.
anything.
Like you could do anything you could do something. Wow.
And then it became a mini game in Mario Party.
Oh.
It did. Yeah.
Yeah,
there
you
was,
had
like,
to stretch the face to be exactly
match it,
what the
yeah.
pic. Yeah.
So, Robert, did you ever beat Mario 64?
No.
Like later?
No.
Sean,
I
you never
went
beat
back.
it. Have you ever beat it, Jason?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Because I only just beat it like last year with the All-Star Collection.
I very quickly hopped on the Legend of Zelda train around that time period and rode that for the next decade.
Number 1 Mario game, Legend of Zelda, Ocarina of Time.
Yeah, Karch's is Bug Fables.
Bug Fables, best Mario game ever.
Q4 2021.
Anything else, Robert, before we move on?
Nah, that's all I got on that.
What were you going to say, Jason?
I think it's coming back to me, right?
No, it's my turn.
Oh, it's your turn. Oh, all I was gonna say is, I don't know what you mean by beat. I didn't get all 120 stars, but
No.
I rolled credits. I beat the third
Yeah.
Bowser.
Yeah.
Beat the game. No
But I
one, no
did
one
that
ever
in
means
third grade, like a champ.
that's you win the Mario 64 competition.
I love Mario.
It's really good.
How's that water temple treating you?
Shush. Can you come over and beat it for me though?
Yeah. I'll be over there this weekend.
Bring your guide.
No. He's got to do it from memory.
I bet I could.
So my third game is Super Mario World for the Super Nintendo.
Hey, me too.
Ouch.
Very, very good argument to be made that it is still to this day one of the best 2D platformers of all time. Personally, for me, it is one of them without a doubt. But is it the best one? For me, that's probably still Celeste at this point. Celeste is such a good game. But this game, there's something just utterly timeless about it. And I can go back to it I go back to games a lot, but there's not many games that you can go back to in the same way like you can Super Mario World. Especially those first 6 levels, all the way up to the first castle, basically. You know them like the back of your hand. They're always fun. The music's great. Once again, we have this kind of... So Super Mario Bros. 1 and 2, you've got Mushroom Kingdom, then zany, weird, asset flippy swap thing. And then you have Super Mario Bros. 3, which is more Mushroom Kingdom, but it's also a little weird too. And then you go to Super Mario World. Now we're in Dinosaur Land. What the heck's Dinosaur Land? I don't know. Yoshi's here, though. And Yoshi's awesome. You can ride him and do so many cool things with him. He's fast. He's basically another, point of defense against enemy hits. He eats stuff. He comes in different colors.
He changed the music.
He changed the music. He can stomp on stuff.
And he poops people out.
And he poops people out. And
He breathes fire.
Not yet, he doesn't.
He
doesn't poop people out
flies.
yet.
He changes colors.
No, he just eats them, doesn't he? If he eats
them in
enough
Super Mario
things,
World.
though, if he eats enough fruits, though, he poops out the mushroom.
He does.
For the 1-up. But then there's the baby Yoshis that you can pop out of the block, or hatch out of the egg, rather, and then you can feed him to enemies, and then he grows up in the level, and then you unlock him, and it's different colors, and it's amazing.
And the different colors do different things.
And they do different things, like Blue Yoshi's OP with his flying. Man, that's how I beat all those special levels. But yeah, special levels, secrets, boo houses, the switch blocks. There's so many, Go on.
To me, that's what Celeste doesn't have. I mean, Celeste is incredible. I love Celeste as a pure platformer, but it doesn't have, in my opinion, some people may argue, it doesn't have the charm. It doesn't have the level design. They're not as extensive. It doesn't have the polish. It doesn't have the little intricacies like when you jump on the Yoshi and the percussion changes the music. Like, I mean, it's made by one guy. Matt Makes Games. All credit to that guy. Probably made the second best platformer of all time, but I still think Super Mario World's the best platformer of all time.
Wait your turn, son.
I'm
Wait your
sorry.
turn.
I
I'm
can't
kidding.
not talk about it.
It's so good.
I'll counterpoint that Celeste's platforming is better, but Super Mario World is a better game.
I think you said it more succinctly. Yes.
It is more succinct. And I understand what you guys mean. But yeah, again, it oozes charm. It's so like the curve is perfect. It is a perfect line from beginning to end. The end being like the special zone, not Bowser, but Bowser's included on that line as like increasing difficulty. But like, it's insane at the end. But it's never like Super Meat Boy insane. It's not the hardest levels of Celeste insane. It's a perfect game. It's a perfect game, and it belongs in the top 5. And that's all I have. I'll stop talking now. Sean.
No, Jason.
Yeah. Yes. Thank you, Jason.
So everybody, all my 3, 2, and 1 have been spoken for. Would you like me to just kind of knock them out?
No, I said we're gonna go round robin.
Okay. So my number 3 is okay. My number 3 is Super Mario Odyssey. I think, in my opinion, Super Mario Odyssey is the logical conclusion of what the promise that Super Mario 64 made. I think it takes all the best aspects of every 3D Mario title and puts them into one game. I keep using this word, but Mario games are always so polished. And again, it takes into account like the gravity aspects, the different biomes, the different mechanics when you shift between biomes, the secrets, the exploration, and then just the fact that you can beat the game, but there's more to offer there if you want to go back and explore. And it's got a lot of charm, and I really enjoyed Super Mario Odyssey. It came early in the Switch life cycle, and I really appreciated it at that time because Luke was a newborn, and I loved a game that I could have in my hand and play, which was so novel at the time, to play a game of this caliber on a handheld system and hold a baby at the same time. Incredible. Love Super Mario Odyssey.
It's really good.
Yeah.
Best 3D Mario.
Best 3D Mario, yes.
I think that's hard to refute. You can, and I would understand why, but it's not a stance I personally take.
Mm-hmm.
John.
Super Mario World, like I just said. So I don't really have anything to add. I'll double down on the timelessness. And that's part of the beauty of a lot of the Nintendo games that were made on the SNES. Some of the third-party games less so, but a lot of those Nintendo games, man, you go back to them now, it's that pixel art. That pixel art just kind of hit its peak form on the Super Nintendo, and those games just look great.
And I will add, they stand up, or they hold up like no other form of game. Like those early polygonal games, they just don't hold up the same way.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, the problem is 3D. So we're only recently hitting the point where 3D games don't show their ages super rapidly, and certainly in the 64. I mean, 64 games are just horrendous looking.
Well, and PS1 and Xbox game. I mean, they're all
that whole era. I know.
Cool, Robert.
We're on number 3, right?
Yes.
My number 3 is, and I'm all of these titles are from memory, so for all I know, one of these is wrong, and I made it up. But Mario Sunshine, was that the game with the
Super
water?
Mario Sunshine.
Super
Yeah,
Mario
yeah.
Sunshine. Now I fixed it. No one will know. All right.
All right.
But yes, that'll be my third because to me that was like kind of like the next step, improving what you had 2D to 3D with Nintendo 64. And then they added a new thing to the Mario games. And this was before I was like knowledgeable about the entire catalog of what was out there. Like by the time I played Mario Sunshine, I'd actually never even played my other favorites. So like it was that was my favorite. And I like the music, the aesthetic, the sun blur, motion blur. It was fun for me. So
3D Yoshi.
Yeah.
First time I got to play 3D Yoshi.
oh yeah,
think
that's right.
I think that's one I owe it to myself to go back and play, because I do own that 3D collection on
Yeah.
the Switch, and I've never played Sunshine. So I feel like I need to go back and play it.
Sunshine's really good. I personally like Sunshine. Overall, there are things I don't like about it versus it, but overall I enjoy it much more than 64. I think it's just more and better. I like Flood most of the time, the water cannon on your back. There are some really weird game design decisions with the way they you have to get every star in order, the little shine sprites, whereas like that was only kind of true sometimes in 64, and the blue coins really suck and there's no way to track which ones you've got, and there are some things that kind of like really sour your taste on it, but overall it's better, and it's just still a really, really good game. I love it. It's good.
Yeah.
Robert's got a man of taste. All right, my number 2, my second from the last. This is nostalgia riding in hot, and you guys have already brought it up a few times, and that is Super Mario Bros. 3. I played Super Mario Brothers 1 was my first video game ever, at least on my NES, which is my first console ever.
Yeah.
And then, I don't know, probably that next birthday, maybe the one after, or Christmas, the next major holiday, I received this game. And it is, to this day, one of my favorite games of all time. Specifically the NES version, not your stupid All-Stars version, which is stupid. Stupid.
Wow,
The only good thing about this,
gatekeeping.
the only good thing about the All-Stars version, which is really just the same as the Japanese version, because for some reason the American NES wouldn't let you save because of limitations in the hardware, but you couldn't save. You could not save your place, and so if you wanted to beat Super Mario Brothers 3, you had to do it without turning your console off, which was a sin in my house. You were not allowed to leave electronics on past their usage time. So that just never happened. I was never going to beat it in a single sitting, obviously. And so I didn't for many, 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 many years. But I just love this game.
Well, that's what the warp
it,
pipes are for, Karch.
The flutes, it does have. But see, the thing is, like, I needed to work up there. I needed the power-ups. I needed the extra lives. If I warped from World 1 to World 8, I'd get my teeth kicked in.
You accrued all the items you could keep in your bar, and you could kick them in at a level when you needed them.
So right there, boom, items that you, lots of items. Like you said, like there's so many things that became iconic overnight for the entire rest of Mario's entire franchise in this one game. The way that Bowser looks and acts, the Koopalings, they took a break for a bit, but then they came back strong, and then now they're here to stay. The whole idea of going to all these environments. You had your desert world with the sun that wants to chase and kill you. How everybody knows that sun. You've got the Tanuki suit, obviously giving Mario the ability to fly, which he then has in some form, at least, if not the Tanuki suit itself. Whether that's the wing cap or the blah blah blah. You've got Ice World.
It's the Tanuki leaf, but then the suit where he could also turn to stone and all that.
Right.
The not just like the regular items like we'd had before, but and the expansion there, but also the suits. From the frog to the Tanuki suit to the you could get in that little boot.
The boot in a single level, and it wasn't even a power up per se.
You had to go right to left
guy.
in that level. That was crazy.
Yes, you did. That was weird. I remember now. But yeah, the boot would let you climb on top of the little flower guys, and it's such a good game. So good. And it lacks the secrets and some of the tight platforming puzzles, I guess is how you would describe it, that
I don't know
Super
that
Mario World
lacks the secrets, cards, because the thing where you would duck on a white block and fall behind the level and have to run, or
I mean, I'm not saying
like that.
I'm not saying they weren't there, but at best a lot of them were novelties. Like, okay, this is how you get a certain item in this world. I remember World 3 had a secret way to get a bunch of stuff, and you could get the frog suit guaranteed, and then that would make it really easy to swim underwater and stuff. And I always remember loving having that ability because Mario's a sucky swimmer. But it wasn't the same level of secrets that Super Mario World have. They weren't as integrated into the world map and whatnot. But it is not as good a game as Super Mario World, but I love it more. So it gets a slightly
That's
higher
fair.
space.
That's fair.
That is fair.
For a
'Cause if I were to
plumber,
have a
he's
second-
a really crappy swimmer.
He is. If I were to have a second child, I can't guarantee I wouldn't love one over the other. Just like I can't guarantee I would love all my Marios equally.
Would it be Juliet? She be your favorite?
Probably.
Yeah, same here. Luke would be my favorite. Sorry, second kid, who's probably going to come at some point.
You guys are giving up your leverage to get more like great stuff from your kids for free. Gosh.
Well, they might not listen to this episode. I don't know.
I
I
hope
never have
they
to
don't.
know that.
I'll ensure that I provide this to them to use as blackmail against you.
Wow.
I'm
I
a
just,
great
what are you
uncle.
talking about? I don't have this other kid. I don't plan on having another one. I just told Juliet she's my de facto favorite in
You did,
theory
you did.
and in reality.
You're in a solid position.
Exactly.
Jason in his second kid though.
I think
I've
he's
got
talking
him.
about me.
It's true. All right, Sean, what's number 2 for you?
Jason.
I did it again. Jason, what's number 2 for
trying
you?
to skip me. Trying to silence me. Okay, picture this. It is 1996. It is either Hanukkah or December 25th. And you wake up and there is a console-sized box in your living
Time
room.
has no meaning.
Time has no meaning. You don't know that it's a console-sized box, but it is a console-sized box. It's the last present you open. And you open it. And it's a Nintendo 64 with Mario 64 pack-in. Hell yeah. You know what I'm saying?
No,
This-
I don't. Because I'm going to tangent you real quick because when
Okay.
I didn't get it at launch and when I got mine, it came, and I love this game. I really do. But the pack-in with mine was Diddy Kong Racing. I actually didn't get my own copy of this game for many, many years later. Diddy Kong Racing, way underrated. They need to remake it. Anyway, continue.
Okay, well, I can't speak to that, but what I can say is I had that moment. It sounds like Robert had that moment,
Yes,
and
yes.
it was an incredible moment. And you plug it in your TV, you get the little red and the white and the yellow cables, and you put the components into the TV, and boom, it is freaking 3D. You're not talking about screwing a coaxial into the back of the TV and then, oh, is it channel 3? Is it channel 4? I click on my system. Is it coming on? Is it not coming on? What am I doing wrong? Did I go through my VCR? Oh, did I put it on auxiliary? No, none of that. Boom, components right in 3D. This game, I mean, it's a historical moment. This game's known to be the pioneer of the 2D transition to 3D. It's the best-selling game of 1996, and it's the best-selling Nintendo 64 game as of 2007 with 11 million copies. And I think it's got that iconic meme moment of every 90s kid opening that on Christmas morning, which I was lucky enough to have. And I'll never forget this. I'll never forget that moment. I'll never forget this game. I'll never forget how many hours I put into this game. And I did all the things you guys said. I spent hours on the main menu pulling Mario's stupid face in different ways. I spent hours running around the courtyard and jumping in the water and exploring the castle and finding all the secrets. And I just, in terms of Mario, I never remember having as much fun exploring and finding secrets as I did with Mario 64, aside from Super Mario World. And so yeah, this
For
game
sure.
to me, it's timeless, it's iconic, and it's groundbreaking, and it deserves every accolade it received. And I don't think I have much more to say about it beyond what you guys said, but it's an incredible, incredible game. And I know it doesn't necessarily hold up, but for its time,
it holds up. It holds up.
eh,
It doesn't hold up as like the greatest of all time. but
right. It
holds
doesn't
up.
hold up in the same way that Super Mario World holds up.
No, not at all.
It's not the best 3D Mario game. Super Mario World's still the best Super Mario platformer game. Super Mario 64 is not the best 3D Mario game, but it's incredible for what it was.
I love how much time you spent just describing the hardware and not the game. And
I'd also
how you-
note, my Nintendo 64 with the 3 prongs in, I still had to put my TV on channel 3.
I had to.
Basic.
I had a coax only. I didn't have a component enabled TV in my room, and so Dave had to run out and get the adapter Christmas
adapter.
morning because it
Radio
was like,
Shack, baby.
yeah, it was like not having batteries for the toy all over again. I was like,
Mine did, but it didn't have like the input channels. You just had to be on channel 3.
Right.
Well, my uncles owned a TV repair shop, and so we always had really good TVs.
Mm-hmm.
So
You had a
that's
lot of
why.
connections growing up.
Yeah,
Somebody always had something, so you were able to get the thing.
right.
All right, Sean, number 2.
Number 2 is Super Mario RPG Legend of the Seven Stars. This is an interesting game for me because this is probably where young Sean transitioned from just like beating games by the young innocent brute force. I'll keep running into the dungeon and fighting the same creatures until I get lucky and I manage to kill them and win, which is like how I beat Link to the Past when I was like 4, to like, no, I have to think about this, and I'm learning to like think critically and strategize and understand the mechanics of the game, and like I became someone who understood video games playing this game.
How old were you?
I mean, this is late Super Nintendo, so this is I'm probably looking at like 7 or 8 years old, maybe 9 when I got it.
Okay, so you could like read and stuff. So that's a game changer for sure.
Yes, by that point I could, because I struggled with reading for a while. So this is the first turn-based game that I ever played. And like this is a hard game, especially the Axum Rangers. Screw you, Axum Rangers.
Yeah,
Like,
the end's pretty tough.
and so
yeah.
like I put a lot of time into learning this game and you know, and learning, like I remember just sitting there and grinding the 2 little fireballs before the Axum Ranger to power level myself enough in order to beat them, and doing that a couple more times because I was like, no, we're gonna pound through this. There are some definite flaws because I beat this over many years. Like I got to the Axum Rangers, couldn't beat them, abandoned the game for years, and came back and was like, no, I'm gonna beat this game now. Beat the Axum Rangers, but I also realized like, oh crap, like this item, the seed that I could have used later on to like grow this thing that would allow me to get the best weapon for Mario in the game. Yeah, I sold that seed because young Sean was an idiot.
Oops.
And so like had to deal with that. Like dealt with the mistakes of young Sean and still dominated the boss by the end.
Question for you, Sean. Did that then change your mentality for RPGs where you held on to every resource and you're like, I'm not going to use this potion. Maybe I need this potion for the boss.
I'm trying to think, when was the next? I probably didn't play an RPG again until like Game Boy Advance.
Okay,
That's
well,
also
I
a
have
stupid
that problem. I
it's
was
a
just
stupid
curious.
mentality.
I
don't
know,
how,
but I have that problem.
such
No,
a
I don't
cliche.
have that. I in
You're a
general
bad
don't
gamer.
have that problem.
Bad gamer.
But I think what I like about this, so like this game plays off very cliche, like the standard Mario story in the first 30 minutes, where it's like,
Oh, yeah.
oh no, Bowser stole Peach, go fight Bowser, and then it wraps that up, and then you get Brewster and the sword coming down. But like, I love Super Mario World, but like Super Mario's World is at the end of the day, it's still just like it's got a smidgen more story than Super Mario Bros. Like there's not a lot of depth to the story there. This has conversations and dialogue and separate plot lines that you're approaching. So it's the first really fleshed out Mario storyline game that I think ever existed. And the combat is fun. And we talked a little bit how playing some of these, this is the one where if you hit A at just the right time, your attack would do a bit more damage, or Mario would crouch and defend himself and take a little bit less damage. And like learning how to string together 100+ super jumps from Mario to just dominate your enemies was an art form, because the timing changed as you got to higher and higher jumps. Like it's an involved game. And
Very.
just it's that isometric style that also but still very much sprites that holds up and just has a lot of character to it.
Yep.
Does anybody know what sparked Nintendo to do this? Like, this is so out of character for any other Mario game that had come before it. What inspired them to say, okay, let's make an RPG out of this?
I always assumed this was Nintendo and Square trying to make nice again.
Okay.
You
Not
remember
again-
the
not
Super
again.
Nintendo era?
They
is,
had-
well, trying to be on good terms
Right.
after they had their falling out there in the beginning of the SNES.
Mm-hmm.
No, what the falling out wasn't until later.
Was it not?
It was the 64, because there was a whole thing with what Nintendo did was gonna work with Sony, and then they didn't end up, and then because they pulled back on that, all the dev kit stuff that Square had been working with was kind of null and void, and they were like, that you can't do that, and they're like, well, we did, blah blah blah, and they're like, okay, well, Sony's gonna keep that technology and they're gonna do something with it. We're just gonna stay over there with them, okay, bye. And then that's when Nintendo got mad, and then the rift happened until many years later.
Okay. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, it's a
Yeah, I don't
phenomenal
either.
game.
I don't know. To answer Jason's
this
question,
was at the very end of
and
the
the-
Super
it
Nintendo
is.
life cycle too, because this came out in '96, which is the same year as 64.
Yep.
right.
But like, and this game has. I mean, this game. Everyone loves Geno, and Geno's
sucks.
fine. But Mallow.
Mallow.
And like this game has like such interesting characters, and some of the worlds you go to in the plot lines, and it's like, man, where is that now in Mario? Like we still really haven't gotten. I mean, I guess the Paper Marios and some of the other ones, but there's not a mainline Mario that I think gives this a run for its money when it comes to the quality of the actual like storylines that it tells throughout the course of the game.
Miyamoto hates, and I'm being a bit facetious and exaggerating. Miyamoto hates story though. He doesn't like. He and several other older, like longtime people at Nintendo have a very specific idea of what Mario should be, especially in a mainline game. But even as it relates to this Paper Mario games, which is why the last like 3 have been a little like. They just don't know what they are because they won't let people be creative with them because the old folks are like, no, but bombs are bombs and that's it. Now, just because they're being Mickey Mouse and Disney about it.
Right.
But that's the thing is, going back to Mario and Rabbids, like
I was just
there's,
thinking
there's,
that.
there's
That's
something
the
to be
closest
said
we
about
have
letting
to
other industries experiment with your character because he gets some awesome creations out of it.
100% agree.
Yeah.
That said, I hated the Yoshi riding minigame. That thing was just terribly controlled.
Wait, is that with Boshi?
Boshi,
Yeah, with Boshi.
that's right.
I like Boshi as a character. I can't speak to the minigame.
Yeah, the
It's
minigame.
fine. It's not too hard, but it's not fun either. You just kind of have to figure out the mechanic, and then that's it. Couple tries, but it's a great game.
But Star
Good
Rain,
pick, Sean.
Yeah.
all day,
Star Rain.
every day.
Star Rain all
Rain.
day. HP Rain. Peach hitting people with a frying pan. Bowser
yeah.
on your team. It's my number one. We'll get to it in a second. I'll gush too.
I want to say the only reason I don't have this ranked is because I've never really played it.
You really, really
I've-
should.
I've played it adjacent. I had a friend in 3rd grade named Nathan. If you're listening, Nathan, hit me up on like Facebook or something because I obviously lost contact with you. But I think I watched him play all of this game, but I've never played this game.
Robert, please give us your number 2.
My number 2 is
2. I thought we were on 1. Okay, keep going.
No, we're not.
All right, my number 2 is I'm gonna combine 2. I'm gonna be a little unconventional here. I'm gonna say
Unallowed foul.
Oh, damn it!
No, go ahead.
You're kicked off.
It is Paper Mario, the first the one that came out on Nintendo 64, and Paper Mario 1000 Year Door.
That's
Nice.
fair.
I think
I'll allow it.
I gotta allow, or I have to consider the one that came out on Nintendo 64 because that was the first RPG game I had ever played at all.
Before Pokemon?
I don't. It doesn't count. It's not the same thing. It's not the same thing.
okay.
I guess I should say it was the first RPG game that combined like various elements from other types of games, like Legend of Zelda, for instance. You have to go through this game making new allies, getting new equipment, which opens up new areas, which opens up more plot. There's dialogue. Like it just felt more like a fleshed out story, I guess, than the even Pokemon I had been into, which to me was more about catching them all. So
Gotcha.
About being the very best.
Don't start.
Oh, don't do it. Don't you do that. So I think that was like, and I also loved the art style. I liked how colorful it was. I liked how there were so many different biomes, I guess you'd call. You had the haunted one with the booze, of course. You had the
that's a
desert
good
one.
one.
You have the island one. You have it's so varied.
The ice place.
Yes.
Oh, I love the ice place.
Oh, I love it. It's like all of it. Normally, I can't stand certain biomes in certain video games, but Paper Mario, like those two games, they really figured those out. So I have a really, really high regard for that.
Again, a man of taste. Robert's list is my favorite list so far.
I think Robert and I it's interesting because the more I hear Robert talk about video games, the more I think he and I may have more similar taste than Kart.
I think Robert has the broadest taste set of all four of us, actually.
Maybe that's why.
I think that's why. Robert will literally play almost anything.
It's true. I'll alt or play any game, you know. I'll try it.
Love
right.
It. But that aside, you have good taste.
Oh, thanks.
Yes. All right, we are on round last for number ones, and this is my number one. And as I said already, it is Super Mario RPG Legend of the Seven Stars. And I won't talk as long as I might have because Sean had so many good points. But I've mentioned charm a lot already. I talked about Thousand Year Door and how, like, the series in general. Mario is a charming character. It's a charming world. It's fantastic. It's all ages. It's for everyone. But man, if this game doesn't have just a little bit more than the rest of them, it knows Mario so well, even in its kind of infancy still. Like, you know, we're talking Super Nintendo. It's only had so many games in which Mario is a main character. He's starting to get some spin-offs and stuff, but they understand already the formula that is Mario game. And like Sean said, they poke fun at it, but then they add on top of it. They make their own thing out of it. And it's just so good. And it's got that peak square 90s RPG feel and flavor to it. I don't know anybody behind the game as far as like producers, directors, writers, etc. I do know Yoko Shimomura is the sound person for it, and the music in this game is amazing.
Yeah,
she is also the composer for Kingdom Hearts.
Ooh,
and so no surprise that, yeah, exactly. a little factoid I learned when we did a topic about music so many months ago. But the music in this game is amazing. It's so good. So many earworms in the best way that you just want to like sing forever. Dun, 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 in the beginning, and then like but then a lot of classic it does, and a lot of classic Mario themes kind of reworked or remixed and whatnot. Again, the first concept, and this is something that both Paper Marios and the Mario and Luigi games would take with them throughout their series. Bowser is almost never the main villain.
Yep.
And when he's almost always a sidekick, actually, or aids you in some way, very often you get to control him. And again, just choosing your party members between the brand new people that they invented for the game, having Princess Peach, you actually save her twice. You save her from Bowser, like Sean mentioned, and then again, some weird Wario knockoff crazy guy kidnaps her again. And so then you save her finally, but she doesn't get kidnapped a third time. She joins your party. Princess Peach gets to join the mix and kick some butt herself, and she's got parasols. She's got slapping dueling gloves. And yes, frying pans, exactly. My most favorite of all of her weapons.
Oh, yeah.
Just clunking them on the head. She's a good healer.
She chucks bombs at people.
I don't know if I ever unlocked that ability.
Oh, yeah. She gets a throw bombs at people ability.
It's so funny because you're still in the Mushroom Kingdom, sort of. And it's got a world map like a Mario game does, but it's also like just a regular, adventure-based, turn-based RPG. And so, but they meld those two so well together, so you don't have to bother with like a more traditional world map like you might get in a Final Fantasy. No airships or anything like that, but it's just complex enough. Like, yep. I love RPGs, but I love simple RPGs. I don't like the Personas and the Shin Megami Tenseis so much because they get into the weeds, and the Xenoblade Chronicles make me want to go bleh because of how, into the numbers and the stats and the repetitive 5-hour-long combat sessions they have. Like, I don't like that. We complain about that in Tales too, those long combat sessions with the, damage sponge enemies. This is just basic turn-based stuff, but you've got stats that are more than just attack and HP, and you've got equipment, but you don't really have to like go crazy about optimizing it. Just enough to give you a little bit of choice and agency, a little bit of progression, and they just thread that needle so perfectly. Didn't beat this game for the longest time. I mean, I have at this point. It's been years since I beat it for the first time, but it was certainly not something I was able to do a shot. I didn't have a Super Nintendo growing up. And I played this at a friend's house when I was just really starting to discover what I had missed on the Super Nintendo. And this was one of them.
Was it Nathan's house?
It wasn't Nathan. Oh. Shut up about that, Nathan. I'm kidding. We love you, Nathan. Please subscribe to our Patreon. But yeah, and so this was one of them, and I was just immediately enthralled. And then I found out Sean had it. I played it over there too, and eventually, I would get my own copy in my own console, and I would play that. And then finally, through emulating on a PC, I was able to beat it. And it was a very rewarding experience. And yeah, just a great.
Because again, it's a tough game, and
yeah,
so
it's
tough
not
enough
super
that
easy.
like you beat it, and you're like, man, I really accomplished something, being able to beat this game.
Yeah, about 2/3 of the way through, you go to one of the main characters' like hometowns in the clouds, and that's where the difficulty kind of spikes up, and it never really lets up if you've been running away too much, or you've been playing quote unquote wrong because you just don't know how it works. Then you might be having a rough time.
And then you spend forever fighting the same 2 fireball monsters until you gain like 3 levels.
I learned from your mistakes, and like I said, I just never ran. I made sure to make sure that enemies were always giving me experience, and once they stopped, then I would move on from an area, so I would never have to grind in an inopportune place.
Yep.
Sean crawled so I could run. Speaking of
You're
Sean,
welcome.
it's Jason's
Nope.
turn. Jason,
There
what's your
you
number
go.
one?
Oh yeah, you got it right on the last one. I think everybody could probably guess what my number one is. I just
I
want to
can't
say,
actually.
it's
Oh wait,
Super-
yes I can because
yeah,
we already
it's-
talked about it so much I got confused.
We did. It's Super Mario World. That's my number one. I don't know why it's no one else's number one, because let me tell you a couple of
Because
factoids.
Celeste is better. Celeste is about emotions, and that's why it's so good.
Celeste is. Okay, I don't want to talk about
Depression is
Celeste.
important. Depression is important, Jason, and that's why that
honestly
game is.
yeah, no, that's the sentiment.
What?
That's like the sentiment on Reddit, which makes me like. I'm not saying
I
that's
know.
not true, but
Move
like,
on, come on.
I know.
Peop-
That was my
Ah.
mistake. Go ahead.
yeah, don't sidetrack me. Super Mario World came out in 1990 for the Super Nintendo. 20 million units sold. Incredible. I mean, you look at it. I know the N64 didn't sell as much as the Super Nintendo, but if you compare 11 million units for Super Mario 64 and 20 million for Super Mario World, that's pretty incredible, because I would say 64 was a more revolutionary game, but Super Mario World sold more. It's more popular. So it's the best-selling Super Nintendo game of all time, and it's considered by many to be the greatest game of all time. And I would say maybe they're not wrong. It's the first Mario game I ever played. I played it around 1993, so it was probably I was 4 years old, and this was about 3 years after the game came out. And I just, in my opinion, I don't want to talk about it more because we've already beat it to death, but to me, it's the pinnacle of platformers. And in my opinion, it was unrivaled until relatively
sure.
recently. And maybe part of that is nobody cared about making platformers until indie developers decided to start making platformers. But you get games like Super Meat Boy, great game, great platforming. You get games like Celeste, even better game, even better platforming. You get a little bit of story as well. But like Sean said earlier, very succinctly, those may be better platformers, but they're not necessarily better games. This is the complete package. I just think this is such a phenomenal game, timeless, holds up, classic. If you're some little Zoomer and you've never played this, you're a little baby Zoomer, go play this game. Go play this game. What are you doing? Stop playing Fortnite. Stop playing Roblox. Stop playing frickin' Rocket League. Get off your ass and go play this game.
Yeah, and if you're going to steal from your parents, give it to this channel.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or we'll beat you up. And Nathan, if you're out there,
Jason's sounding like a boomer.
I am sounding like a boomer. I'm sounding like my D&D character. I tried so hard to sound like an old man that I just sounded like a Bernie Sanders.
He's an old man. He's 80 something.
He's an old man. Bernie Sanders is an old man, and Allman, the druid, is an old man. He is 600 years old. He's a wood elf. He's a very old guy. He lives in the woods. I am done. Number one game, Super Mario World, undisputed champion.
Quick correction there for you. So, Super Mario World did come out in 1990 in Japan. It came out in August of 91 in North America.
Oh, wow. Well, then I was even more on it. I played it when I was only 2 years old. I mean, the game was 2 in the U.S.
Mm-hmm.
Sean, wow us with your number one.
I'm going to piss off Jason here. I think while Super Mario World is a fantastic platformer, it's not the best Mario platformer. The best Mario platformer is Super Mario World 2, Yoshi's Island.
I have to play it.
Says Smash Bros ain't no Mario game, and then gives us the first Yoshi game.
It's called Super Mario
I know
World
what
2.
it's called. I know what it's called.
I'm gonna have to go back and play this because this is a giant blind spot in Jason's Mario.
So this is what I'll give you. I will give you that the little secrets and the additional worlds and the interaction with the world map by far superior in Super Mario World, mostly because it doesn't exist in Yoshi's Island. It's just you beat a level and then you click over and it's got a little like thumbnail for the next level and you beat that level, and when you clear the 8 or so levels on a world, that Yoshi tosses Baby Mario to another Yoshi, and then you start on the next world. So the overmap is definitely superior, and the whole things that come with that, with the cool interactions that Super Mario World gives you with its secrets. But when it comes to actual gameplay and a platformer and the puzzles that are trying to solve platforming,
There are a lot of puzzles, yeah.
Yoshi's Island is superior to Super Mario World as far as it comes to platforming, and part of that is I will say that Yoshi's Island has better items than Super Mario World, because one, Yoshi himself is coming into the game with the flutter kick, the now iconic Yoshi flutter kick. In addition, we talked about how Yoshi could eat things, but now Yoshi can eat things and turn them into eggs, and eggs of various abilities and sizes that are going to play into the puzzles. But also you got like You've got Yoshi eating watermelons and then shooting out the seeds like a machine gun. You got Yoshi shooting out flamethrowers. You got Baby Mario in one of the best hilarious moments of putting on like a super cape and basically it being like a star and just running through the level, totally unstoppable.
I do like that one a lot, yeah.
And I will say this: the bosses and the towers in Super Mario World,
they suck.
Yeah, they've all got the little kicks, but they suck. The bosses in Yoshi's story are basically culminations of like their bigger, badder versions of some of the enemies you've faced in that world, and you got to understand it's built you up with. You understand the base mechanics for those guys and some of the other puzzles to solve, and now you got to apply it all at once to beat these bosses. Like the boss fights it's some of the best boss fights in a 2D video game.
You're selling it to me, man. If this is this on NSO?
Yes.
I might. This might be my game like tonight and tomorrow because this sounds better than Metroid Dread. I'm digging this.
It probably
and then
is.
Graphics wise, it's got this like
super cute,
cutesy, crayon, vibrant, just a little like adorable game. And this is where whereas all of Yoshi was just like sound effects and changing music. Yoshi is essentially he's got little bits of voice. He's got his little like yep and like his sounds that are all shown up here. So like Yoshi is turned into just hey, this is a cool Mountain Super Mario World to a character. And Yoshi's Island. It plays so fun, and the boss battles are so fun. The only other downside I'll give this game is, oh my freaking lord, Baby Mario crying.
Oh, it
continues to like wake me up from like so the dead of sleep. Because Jason, the way this works is Yoshi can't die beyond like falling into a pit. Like Yoshi getting hit by enemies does not harm Yoshi, but you got Baby Mario on your back, and he gets knocked off and floats around in a bubble, crying, and you have a limited time to get him back based on a timer you can build up before the Koopa, the magic Koopa comes and steals him away, and then you get a game over. While he's knocked off you, he cries like a baby, and it is a horrendous sound, and I do hate that about that game.
I cannot wait.
So you just got to get good and not lose your Baby Mario.
I honestly, I know I'm not like a speedrun world champion, but like I'm really good at Super Mario World, so I'm excited to get into this and see if my
you're gonna have fun. Also, like there are some levels where Yoshi can turn into like vehicles, like a submarine, and shoot torpedoes, and I don't entirely understand it, but they're a lot of fun levels to play.
Yeah, I haven't played nearly enough of this game because so much of this doesn't ring a bell at all.
Yeah.
This is the first game where they add like collecting stuff as like a thing. You had the dragon coins in Super Mario World, but this one's got coins. It's got the little flowers, and I feel like there's a third. I think it's got red coins too.
It does have red coins, and if you get all of them, you get 2 bonus levels at the end of every world.
Right. So like this has that. This gets injected into the rest of the series at this point. Unfortunately,
also, the snow level. Oh, the snow level is so much fun.
They destroy Yoshi after this because it's the sequel to this game, quote unquote, is Yoshi 64, and that game is
Yoshi's Story.
Yoshi's Story, thank you. And I played it a lot. I liked it enough, but I didn't love it, and something just felt like they just.
It's such a letdown after Yoshi's Island. Oh, it kills me.
And then like from that point on, they're like, no, Yoshi's the baby franchise. It's not Kirby. It's Yoshi. Yoshi's
like
the
Woolly's
baby
World
franchise. And they're not bad games in the Crafted World one too. And it's just like, but for some reason they're like, nah, we can't have 2 great platformers that function incredibly differently because there's no way that Yoshi handles at all like Mario. They're just totally
Nintendo
different.
has this problem. Yeah.
Yeah, they certainly do. And so like, yeah, it's a shame, but
it's not overly difficult, but it is. I would say it is tougher than
I'd
Super
say
Mario.
it's hard.
Mm-hmm.
I'd say it's hard if you're expecting Mario.
Yeah, it's more difficult than Super Mario
I'm
World,
gonna
and
beat it
it requires
tonight,
some more
and
skill.
I'll
So
text you.
have some fun.
Good luck, Sean.
I
Or
hope
good
you
luck,
like
Jason.
it. I hope you like it. I want to. We were doing this, and I was thinking about this. I was like, "Is this really what I'm going to put as my number one?" And I was like, "It's the one I've had the most fun with." And the more I thought about it, I was like, "Oh my god, I gotta." And this is when I remembered that I brought my Super Nintendo back from my parents last time. I was like, I gotta go get a component to HDMI converter. I was like, I want to play this game again.
Do it.
Do it.
Yeah.
All right, that's it for me.
All right, Robert, bring us home with your number one.
All right, my number one we've already talked about it a few times, so won't be terribly long, but I do think it is my favorite, which is a Super Mario RPG.
Yeah, suck it, Jason.
This, to me, when I found this, it's like when the original version is better than what comes from it. Like, it was the perfection of the prototype of the games that I had discovered much later on in life, and then went back to it. It was I don't know how to describe it. It just hit something so primal in me. Like, the storyline, just how good it was for how old it was. Like, it was amazing to me.
When did you first play it?
I was much older. Like, it wasn't until you had already told me about it. But it was at a time when I could still find it used somewhere.
Right.
So, gosh.
But like teenage years then.
Teenage
'Cause I
years, yes.
Didn't meet you to high school. Oh, sorry, middle school.
Nathan
It's
would
so
be
good.
proud. Nathan would be proud.
Yeah, I'm glad we were able to do this episode for Nathan.
Yeah.
It's gonna be really confusing when nobody knows what we're talking about when I cut that segment out.
You're not gonna.
I'm gonna. Got it written right down.
You can't.
I will.
Nathan, no.
All right, so we're all agreed that Super Mario RPG is the best Mario game of all time.
Shut up. That's not. It's just no.
As if we were to do like the end of our Legend of Zelda and tally the points, I think it's probably this Super Mario World, and then it'd be a little different.
Probably
to figure
Bros
out from
3.
there.
Yeah.
Bros 3 or 64, one of the two.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
I think the
Bros
three of
3
you
is
had
64.
64.
And I think Yoshi's Island probably squeezes in there at number 5, just like Link to the Past did, because I gave it my top spot.
Probably.
This is
yeah.
retribution for the Link episode. This is Sean's retribution for the Link
What
episode.
retribution?
Sean
That was
got what he
I
know
wanted.
what I'm talking
I got
about.
exactly what I wanted.
You know what
I
I'm
don't.
talking about.
I have no idea what you're talking about. I have no issues with the Legend of Zelda episode.
Should I
I
sign
didn't
us
put it-
off?
I just want to say I didn't put a single 3D Mario on this list if you don't count
Wow.
Mario Kart,
Wow. Oh,
which I don't.
that's pretty.
I've played very few 3D Marios. I played very few recent Marios. Most of my
There's
Mario
not
is
that
Super
many
Nintendo.
compared to other Mario types. There's only like 5.
Yeah.
Galaxy 1, 2, Sunshine, 64, World, and Odyssey.
Yeah.
But even then, like
6.
even
And
the
Land.
spin-offs, I haven't played any Mario spin-off game that isn't Yoshi's Island or Super Mario RPG.
Well,
You love Mario Paint. You had the mouse and everything.
Oh my god, I forgot about Mario Paint.
You
I gotta
said-
redo my
hold on,
list.
and you said,
Mario Paint's got to go on there now.
the Ubisoft one. What was that one? Rabbids.
Rabbids.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
Anyway.
I'm only
Right.
I'm only recently getting back into Mario, I guess,
Guess so.
because they won't give me Breath of the Wild 2 as well.
Let me just
won't.
say, later, Skater. I love this podcast. I love video games, and I love Nathan. You all have a fantastic week. We will try, but we are never free to play. You know what, though? I'm real good at
Nope, I'm out. I'm done. Bye.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.